Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9LIVE. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim Rosati, Tyler Sweeney. What's up, everyone?
Good evening. Happy Thursday. It was Pirates fans can't take these off days, I don't think.
No.
I feel like the last few off days we've had has just been brutal days.
Right.
In the Discord, on Twitter, you name it.
This is a tough day to take an off day after last night.
And that's, I think, the biggest problem. Had they won, had the Pirates swept the Astros, different story. They still take 2 out of 3. You start off this hard part of the schedule in a pretty good way. But because of the game that transpired by probably a certain player, Pirate fans can't handle it.
Yeah, O'Neal Cruz could have used a game today because I think, like I said, it was just too much. It was just too much free time for fans to just have some wildly absurd takes all day today. But you know what? We're not going to talk about it. We said our piece about O'Neal Cruz. If you want to watch it, tune into last night's post-game show.
Agreed.
Is there football on tonight?
There is Hall of Fame game.
Oh, well, okay.
It's not even real football.
Raise it.
No, it's not. Caleb Williams isn't even playing.
Yeah, then who cares?
This counts as a preseason game too, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dumb. There's my football analysis for the year.
It is crazy that it's August 1st. I mean, football's right around the corner.
But it's almost as dumb as talking about the Pirates during 2020.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was dumb. We did a lot of that. But you know what's not dumb? I feel like this is the first time in a really ever since I joined this podcast, which was 2020, we haven't been talking about meaningful baseball games in August ever. Like by this time, we're talking about our draft pick. We're talking about, what are we going to do next year? What guys are we going to keep? What teams? What players are we looking for to do something so that they can maybe provide a future role on our team? And that's not what we get to talk about this year, which that at least is enjoyable, that we get to talk about like real meaningful baseball games in August of a summer.
I mean, to be fair, when you joined on August 1st, 2020, the Pirates were 2-5. So,
which was probably their best. You could
argue they were meaningful then.
2-5. That was probably their best win percentage of the season.
Yeah, we joined far before that. And we had to basically, Jim and I joined right during COVID, and we had to talk about the entire COVID fiasco. This really is the first time we've talked about meaningful baseball.
It really, yeah.
You know what? I feel like we need to have a show one day, just like reminisce on that COVID year.
No, I'm good.
And you guys joining.
No, we
don't.
How
crazy it was.
Nope.
No, we don't need to reminisce on that season ever again.
Right.
We've already reminisced too much already in this show. We've reminisced so long that we've almost missed our ad read.
Well, I got it up. So just so you guys know, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today, get on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. BetOnline, the game starts here. Fellas, this show is going to be fun.
Okay.
I lie a lot.
Tyler's like, really?
But
what does that mean?
This is our first show post-trade deadline. Last week was previewing the deadline. Last week was all the Gymalytics. Last week was the big spreadsheet. that was the most pointless thing, even going back to the COVID year, that we've done.
You know what? People really enjoyed my PowerPoint last week. They loved it. It got rave reviews. And you know what? Other teams utilized it because every single player I talked about got traded. And I was pretty on as far as those returns go.
Good job, Jim.
But
Jim,
you know
you
what?
did great.
And Ben Sherrington didn't watch it.
Well, we go live at 9. It's way past his bedtime.
Well,
Sleep.
NCAA came out. Like, what do you expect?
Right. No, I'm excited for this show. I haven't even really you two did the trade deadline show on Tuesday. So, you all got your thoughts out about the trade deadline. I was in the comments and stuff, but I didn't really get to say my piece on it.
Good. So we'll move forward.
Fine.
Is there something you have on your chest, Jim?
No, I mean, it's been 48 hours to sleep on it. I'm sticking with my original deadline grade.
It feels like it's been a week already.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my original deadline grade. I'm going to give Ben Sherrington a C+, which is a passing grade. He got the lefty reliever I wanted. He got the utility infielder I wanted, and he actually shot a little higher than I was going for, I think. Big fan of the Isiah Kiner-Falefa deal. It's a deal I think that'll help. Like it addresses an immediate need that they had. It became an even more of a need when Nick Gonzalez went down. So, nice job landing him. And he's somebody that if you want to keep him for next year's roster, he's a good piece there. And also, you know what? If other players maybe are better, you can always trade. Like Isiah Kiner-Falefa is a commodity that a lot of teams would want on their team. So, you can either hold on to him, you can trade him during the offseason for another need maybe. But no, I was a big fan of that deal. The Nick York trade, we already talked about. I like that. Been a fan of Nick York for a while now. You're dealing a position of strength for a position of need. The trade with the Orioles, the Patrick Riley for Billy Cook trade, I thought we gave up a lot in that one, but again, same thing. Like how many pitching prospects do we need? We got a lot, so you might as well trade one for a hitting prospect because you don't have any of those. So I don't know. I like that one as well. And then Bryan De La Cruz, not a huge fan of him, but he is a pretty big upgrade to what the Pirates had. So, and they gave up nothing for him, if we're being honest. So, yeah, C+. He passed. He didn't address center field. He didn't move as quick as I would have wanted him to. I mean, you look at a team like the Padres. Like, what if the Pirates would have added Luis Ariz back in April or May, right? Instead of waiting to add to this team until July 30th. Maybe they'd be in a different spot. But no, I think he waited a long time. He got on the other side of that Diamondback series, which was ugly. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Pirates playoff odds sit around 15%. It's not great. But they're still in it.
Actually, to add on to that real quick, I don't think that's something we talked about enough during the trade deadline show. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But the amount of time he waited is probably the biggest indictment on the entire thing. Because he waited just way too long to add anything. And maybe that's what got the return down for a Bryan De La Cruz. But do you give up maybe just a touch more to get some improvement earlier? Because this team's been scuffling for so long.
What's the thing? Like if Bryan De La Cruz was one of your targets, could you have gotten him a month earlier? And yeah, maybe it would have cost you a little bit more, but they didn't really give up anything to get him. Like what would it have cost him to get Bryan De La Cruz 30 days ago? I think that's and like I said, it's hard to know without knowing what the talks were like, but trades were made. Like trades were made before the deadline. Ben just didn't make any of them.
All fair. So I say, though, at this point in time, we are 10.5 minutes into it. Let's talk about, the future. The trade deadline has passed. The moves were made. Does this team have a shot? Knowing that they are, and of course now 2.5 behind, but again, like they took 2 out of 3 from Houston. At this point in time, they're 2.5 back out. They're still in the thick of things, but there's still a lot of teams there, and those teams also added too, and some pretty strongly. I'll put it that way. So, I mean, I guess just first thoughts right now. Look at the landscape. Look at this Pirates team. Do you guys think they have an actual real shot of the playoffs?
I'll let you go, Tyler.
Okay. I guess I'll
Tyler's
let
been
this
going
one
first
off.
a lot lately.
Yeah, I think Jim likes to throw it at me whenever he doesn't want to give his opinion immediately. He wants to just poo-poo my idea. But I'll go ahead and throw it back at him because I actually do. And it's only because this pitching staff, man, and we've talked about it so much, how good they are. How many times have I said that they have the hard part figured out? They really do. If you can get Jared Jones back somehow, this team is in a tremendous position to go on a run here. Bat-wise, I still have a lot of question marks, but really, it's been over 500 baseball for a couple months. They're playing all right enough. There's enough annoyance with it, but all things considered, they've been playing relatively close to a playoff level team for probably a month and a half to 2 months. So I think they're in an okay position right now. And a lot of that has to do with the run they went on recently. But I think they do have a shot, which is why I'm a little bit excited. And this is a huge series here, and we'll get into that. But I think they really do have a shot.
They absolutely have a shot. So Paul Skeens was called up on May 11th. Since that date, Pirates are 38-31. 38-31 since Paul Skeens has been on this team. It's a pretty good team. That's like a winning at a 55% clip. If you win at a 55% clip,
what? Can we get Jerry DePoto over here? Can you say that one more time?
It's winning at a 55% clip, which means you're probably going to be in the playoffs, right? The problem is that they weren't winning at a 55% clip before May 11th. So if you just continue this pace that they're at, right? If they win 55% of their games from here on out, they're going to end up 85 and 78. 85 and 79. Sorry, my math is wrong there. I thought it'd be at the a little bit ago that would be enough to get into the playoffs, but they're probably gonna have to win more like 87 games to get into the postseason, the way things are shaking up right now. I think they can get there though. I think they can get there because you got to think the last month or so they've been without Jared Jones. They just got rid of Martin Perez, so you kind of drop Perez. You're gonna get Jones back. It's gonna come down. I think this one could come down to the wire. Like they're going to have that last series of the year in New York. And 85 and 77. Sorry. Math is, I got to do better math here. But 85 and 77 is what they're, 85 and 77 is what they're on pace to do. If they just continue what they've been doing since Paul Skeens came up. And I don't think that's enough. Now, that's going to be enough so that they're in it until the very end. But I don't think that's going to be enough to make the playoffs. So you gotta find a few more wins. But they got better. The offense is better. Adding Isiah Kiner-Falefa, adding Bryan De La Cruz, those are upgrades to this offense. Getting Jared Jones back is going to be an upgrade to this pitching staff. Adding Jalen Beeks to the bullpen is an upgrade over Josh Fleming. So, I think they absolutely have a chance to do something. It's going to be a fun last 2 months. There's going to be some highs. There's going to be some lows. We talked about it over and over again. Like we're at the stage now of the season where the wins are going to be super fun. The losses are going to be really frustrating and really defeating because every game means a lot going forward. But yeah, absolutely. They got a shot. So I just took 3 minutes to answer that question with yes.
I think they have a shot. Absolutely. And I think for all the reasons that you talked about, Jim, since Paul Skeens came up, you know what? Since June 1st, they're 29-22.
Everything Jim said, that's fine. Everything Tyler said was stupid, but okay.
Well, yeah. He's also the most recent, so I'm piggybacking off him. I've already forgotten what you said, Tyler.
I did too.
I just, one of the things that was in favor of the Pirates is they had a very soft part of their schedule in that time frame. And all games matter. I get it, like, it's still baseball, but one of the things that was in their favor was, hey, there's a good stretch. They could make up some ground here because of the soft part. And now going into this part, it's one of the toughest parts. So, like, I'll say this. I reserve some judgment. I think they have a chance. They absolutely do because of the pitching, and they did get better. Although I think the teams that are ahead of them, mostly outside of the Diamondbacks, I thought got even better than what the Pirates did, and they're already ahead of them per se, right? Once this stretches it, like on August 15th, I think we're going to really, really have an idea. Because if they can get past this part, which is a very crucial, very difficult part of the schedule, and let's say they're still just 2.5 or maybe 2 back. I mean, they have to make up ground, but if they at least maintained it through August 15th, there's still a shot. I would like to see them make ground. And of course, they're playing the teams that they're ahead of them. So theoretically, that probably doesn't make too much sense what I'm saying. But I guess what I'm alluding to though still is like, if they're at least in the same position they are in 2 weeks, I feel good about this team. If they make up ground, I feel even better. If they start sliding back and they don't get through this part, it's going to be real difficult. I mean, basically again, like we're going to find out real soon what this team really is. Also, like, give some credit here. That stretch you talked about, even myself talking June 1st, whatever. This stretch has been a lot part of without Jared Jones. So like you're talking about how they're going to get there because of the pitching, but they were out Jared Jones and even Bailey Falter for a good bit of time, just like making ends meet with the pitching and still at this rate. So with Falter back now, Jared Jones hopefully coming back. I mean, they are still getting stronger. Again, reason to have some optimism. And I just want to point something out too, Jim. You said 85 wins. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that they would be on the outside still, not in it. You could be right. I just want to throw something out there, though. Last year, the wildcard teams, Miami and Arizona, made it in with 84. Now, everything's not perfect. And I know it's very competitive, but that's close. If you're saying that 85 wins, to me, that still says there's absolutely a chance.
Yeah, if they finish with 85 wins, they're going to be in the thick of it for sure. I feel like the teams this year are a little bit better than they were last year, particularly Arizona and San Diego. Like those two teams seem to be playing some really good ball right now. Atlanta, on the other hand, is not in a good spot. So before we were talking about how Atlanta was running away with that first wild card spot. I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. So we kind of have to lump Atlanta now into San Diego, Arizona, New York, St. Louis, Pittsburgh. Those are now the teams competing for those wild card spots. Jared Jones, there's some questions in here. Do we know when he's going to be back? He did just throw a 38-pitch bullpen session on Tuesday. The next step after that. Huh?
Do you have a quote for that from Jared Jones, by the way?
Oh, I don't have the quote. No, but I know there is one out there. But he threw he threw a bullpen.
Effing electric.
Yeah, threw a bullpen session. It went great. He's going to throw a second bullpen session, so you got to imagine that's probably coming on Monday. Then after that, he goes on rehab, so that'll be next weekend. Probably, yeah, I would say mid August 15th to August 20th. That date range is probably when we'll see Jared Jones, if I had to guess.
So right after the stretch.
Yeah, he won't be during this.
If I can add one more thing to this, and I think one of the reasons I'm a little more confident than I was before is the way that Derek Shelton hasn't managed this last week, at least. It may be the last 2 weeks of the season. It feels like the team, and maybe not the front office, but at least the team understands how valuable this stretch is. And it seems like they understand that they actually are in the thick of things. So maybe that gives me a little bit more encouragement than it should, but I do think the clubhouse knows they're close.
Yeah, I mean, you want to gain ground on these teams, right? But if you're able to just kind of tread water at like 500 or a game or two above 500 from now until the end of this, Arizona, San Diego, LA, San Diego stretch, you're in a good spot, because after that, it does get a little bit easier. You've got St. Louis, you got Seattle and Texas, but then you start facing teams that, that gave up, right? The Reds, the Cubs actually didn't really lose anything, but they haven't been good. Then you go to Cleveland. Obviously, they're a good team. And September, you've got some. I mean, Washington and Miami, back to back at home. It's like you've got some opportunities to make noise down the stretch. You got to get by this San Diego, Arizona stretch though, because these are the teams you're directly competing against. You can't let them gain ground on you.
Agree.
Good thought, Donato. Really glad you added your input there.
Well, I feel like we're just all kind of saying the same thing at this point.
No, we
in time.
are.
Yeah.
I believe I said they were going to win 85 games.
I said 74, so.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I think my
I
prediction
said
was
78 or 79.
Yeah. So once again, they're on pace to hit my prediction.
I mean,
they're actually not on pace too. They're on pace if you count the Paul Skeens date.
Here's the deal: the stuff that happened before Paul Skeens doesn't count. The Paul Skeens-less Pirates,
BPS,
they are in the past. We're talking about the Paul Skeens Pirates going forward.
Fair enough.
Actually, you know what? That is the other thing that maybe makes me a little more encouraged was Derek Shelton coming out and saying that if it's essentially he can't imagine Paul Skeens not pitching in September. That made me a little more comfortable about this run.
And they've pretty much been saying that all along. I think what you're alluding to here is the more reassurance you get from them, the more you actually believe them. So that's also fair. But again, like they have been saying all along, they've done the necessary precautionary stuff to make sure that he's there. And like they keep saying it. And if they're in the thick of things, that you can't shut them down. They don't have what it takes without Paul Skeens.
I mean, plain and simple, if they don't have Paul Skeens in September, this team is not a playoff caliber team.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, they need him. I mean, just look at how they were before he came up.
Yeah.
Like they were winning some games because of their pitching. The pitching was still the strong suit, but he kind of put them over the edge.
Yeah. And granted,
since he's been called up, he's been the best pitcher in baseball. So, like, having him on your team is very good. He leads the league in ERA, leads the league in WHIP, leads the league in strikeout rate.
If you had it on, I'm going to make a bingo card of things Jim says during episodes, and it's just going to be Paul Skeens being the best pitcher ever, or the best pitcher he's ever, or the best pitcher in baseball, the best pitcher ever, Jack Sawinski being prime Juan Soto. And let's just see if we can cross them all out.
Analytics.
I'm just saying, if you take so Skeens is at 80 and 2/3 innings, right? So let's just say to qualify for the ERA title, you need 80 innings. Paul Skeens is number one in the majors, and the next closest isn't really all that close to him. It's Ronaldo Lopez at 2.06.
We get it.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
he started the All-Star game. We know
he's damn good. He's damn good. Every start he goes out there, after it's over, the first thing you see on Twitter is Paul Skeens, the first, and then just whatever, whether they want to say rookie, pitcher, it doesn't matter how it's qualified. It's not even just rookies, it's just pitcher ever. It's all kinds of crazy things after it. He's simply, the best way to put it, Jim, is when we were on live after you saw him in AA talking about how he just looks like he's far better. He looks like, the little leaguer, the kid's like 14 years old playing against little league kids, like he's out of league. He still looks that way in major league. Like he still needs to be promoted to be challenged. This isn't good enough for him. So it's unbelievable. And yes, he's a big reason why that they will be in the thick of things. But, there's some things, I guess you can kind of go two ways with also like the club. I mean, in one way of looking at it, you could also say like, yeah, they've been good, but at the same time, can you expect Bryan Reynolds to be the 8th best hitter in baseball? And can you expect Rowdy Tellez to be like the 13th best hitter in baseball, whatever he is at this point in time going forward? Like there's going to be some regression with them, right? And this offense is already bad. And is Bryan De La Cruz good enough to do that? Is Isiah Kiner-Falefa good enough to come in here and supplement that with the regression, right? So like make your arguments to me that, once Bryan Reynolds and Rowdy Tellez come back to earth a little bit, I mean, Rowdy, there's probably going to be a lot of regression, but Bryan Reynolds is still a damn good player. He might not be the 8th or 9th best, but being a top 30 hitter in baseball, I could imagine rest of the way. So tell me why you still feel like this offense has enough what it takes, even with the pitching, to get to the playoffs.
I don't think Bryan Reynolds is due for any regression whatsoever.
Okay.
Like I think he's legitimately figured, like he's in his prime when it comes to hitting. And
every time you say someone's in their prime or they're prime somebody, bad things happen, Jim. So that's why I'm telling you he's going to regress at this point forward.
Okay. No, that's fair. But he's been really good, and he's just been consistently good. Like he definitely put it into a different gear come June, right? Like he turned into his June Bryan Reynolds self, went crazy. But like he also kept that going until July. He just looks absolutely locked in. I haven't seen him look this good at the plate since 2021. He's better than he was last year. He's better than he was in 2022, and that was a good year. He's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting it from both sides of the plate. He's hitting for power. I see no reason why Bryan Reynolds can't keep doing exactly what he's doing. Like I think he's just a really good hitter. In fact, I could see that batting average keep creeping up. Like it's at 285 right now. It was a 290 at some point earlier in the week. Like I could see him keep getting those season numbers could keep going up for him. And where I think the offense is going to take a step forward here, adding Bryan De La Cruz instead of trotting out Jack Sawinski, Edward Olivares, Joshua Palacios. Like that's an upgrade. He's going to make that spot immediately better. He brings power that, like, we talk about how this team needs power, right? They need guys who can hit balls over the fence. Bryan De La Cruz can do that. O'Neal Cruz, rough series in Houston, but he's been hitting really, really well for a good stretch now, at least over a month. And if that keeps happening, this offense, that's a huge upgrade for the offense. Isiah Kiner-Falefa, giving him at bats over Jared Triolo, like every day at bats over Jared Triolo, that's a big upgrade. So like there are reasons to see why or how this offense can perform going forward. On top of that, how about Michael A. Taylor? Like I gave Ben Sherrington a C+ because he didn't address the outfield, but someone who's kind of been under the radar here, Michael A. Taylor, starting in June, 263, 341, 553, had an 894 OPS in June. Now, Michael A. Taylor doesn't need to maintain an 894 OPS, but if Michael A. Taylor can start hitting just like league average, Yeah. So look at Taylor, just the last 100 plate appearances. Like, he's hitting really well, and how good he is defensively. If Michael A. Taylor can start hitting league average, providing you league average offense from now until the end of the season, probably the biggest development for this team, because the value he brings defensively, he takes away that black hole that's been in the lineup. All of a sudden, he becomes a pretty valuable player.
100%.
Is there anybody else that I can talk about? Jim just mentioned like every single player on in this organization.
I mentioned like 5. Mentioned 5.
You mentioned all of them. I think
there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic.
So I guess the one guy, if I'm talking about guys you didn't mention, and we'll probably talk more about Michael A. Taylor. Bryan Hayes can't continue to be this bad. Like, he's talented enough to not be this bad. And I'm not saying he's going to be good at the plate. He can't continue to be this bad. And even if they find another reason, even if it's an IKF, taking some of his at-bats away, like, there are reasons to be positive about the lineup just by replacing certain guys that have just been brutally bad. And whether it's Bryan Hayes improving just based off, honestly, it might be on luck in general. We saw that earlier this month where he had a little bit of a streak where he just hit a bunch of singles. But there are guys in this lineup that can improve, truthfully, just based on luck. But Connor Joe's another guy, I think. And Connor Joe is better than we've seen these last 2 months. Connor Joe gets an opportunity to maybe be used in a more appropriate role for him. And if he's used as a bench bat, I do think that Connor Joe helps us line up a lot more than he does in the role that he's been used in lately. So there are things to be positive about with the trade deadline acquisitions, but all they have to do is just be maybe a little bit below average because his pitching staff is so good.
We've kind of been saying that for a while. Like, they don't need this great offense. I mean, they're going back to the whole Paul Skeens June 1st thing, right? Like, this whole stretch, 25th in offense while they've been winning ball games. Like, if they can go from 25th to just 16th, 17th, 18th, below average hitting, you're probably even improving upon that. Like, my biggest thing is what they really need to do is find a way to have the 0 or 1 run ball games. When Brian Reynolds, Kutcher, O'Neill Cruz isn't having it, someone else step up to be able to let this team score two runs. So this pitching staff can do what they do. Because, again, they've had the most 0 and 1 scored ball games among all the playoff teams in the NL. The most. And they're right there. So, and by a good amount, too. So it's like if they can just have a few more games, they're scoring, 2 runs, 3 runs, give them more of a chance. So, yeah, like, but that goes back to what we're saying, Tyler. You can say all you want about Bryan De La Cruz, what he is as far as the player. I think he's just a fine, okay player. But a fine, okay player moves you from 25th to 17th, and that's the thing, because it's so bad what they have out there in right field that's enough. Right? If he's able to score the 1 home run when this team has 0 runs with a guy on first, and now it's a two-run ball game, there's a chance.
45-13 is this team's record when they score 4 or more runs. 45-13. That's damn good. Yeah. I mean, you don't get much better than that in baseball. Like, because there's just random shit that happens, right? Random stuff that happens. 45-13, that's as good as it gets.
It is. Also,
so just score 4 runs.
Yeah. Also, one more guy. Like, if they continue to compete with this race, having Joey Bart and maybe giving him some more opportunity, though, like that. Bart over Grandal. And I think as this gets more competitive, we're going to see more Bart over Grandal. I mean, that's like a 2-1 type of difference because Grandal has been so bad offensively.
Yeah. I want to add one more thing because Jim, 4 runs, even though like that record's awesome, right? But sometimes that sounds, how the hell are they going to score 4 runs? Let's lower the standards. When the Pirates score 2 runs, just 2. When the Pirates score 2 runs or more, they are 51-34.
These are impressive stats right now, guys.
2.
Yeah.
The bar is low for them to be successful. Again, that's where we're coming from. They just need to be a below average offense.
If they can get to average, then it's full steam ahead. But yeah, if they can just be hovering in like a 95 to 100 weighted runs created plus as a team, they're all of a sudden pretty dangerous.
Donato, can we just repeat that record one more time?
51-34.
They are almost 20 games above 500, just scoring 2 runs. There's no way that is accurate. There's
2 or more.
There's no way.
It is accurate. Now, I don't know, because keep in mind, if you scored 2 or more, it keeps, I mean, that's if you score 8, that's in there too. But like, let's just look at another random team. Pick another good team.
But again,
let's talk about the Brewers.
Okay, sure.
Brewers, when they score 2 or more runs, 59-35.
Okay, so Donato just like gave us a deep fake.
Yeah, maybe.
Why?
You just said what, 59-35?
59-35. Yeah. I think the sweet spot though is 4. You want to get to 4 runs.
Yeah. All right, Donato's wrong. We're good.
Yeah.
Wait, why am I
I was
wrong?
like, there's no way that's anywhere near accurate.
No, it's accurate. Like his is accurate.
But
it's
also
just,
like you're including games where they score more than 2 runs.
Right.
That's 2
what
or
a stat is. When you say 2 or more runs, they are 51-34. It means when they score
What's the Reds
2
record
or more runs.
when they score 2 or more runs?
The problem is they have so many games that they score 0 to 1 runs, and they're all losses because they can't score 2 runs.
Yeah, we're done with you. Go.
yeah, all the teams are kind of similar in this
Like
aspect.
everybody
You want to get
that
to 4.
scores 2 or more runs.
Yeah.
wins.
You want to get to 4.
Because when they lose, they don't.
You're right. When they lose, they don't win. Yeah. There you go.
Great job, Nardo.
Okay.
Bad stat.
Okay.
I like Jim's more.
Because when the Pirates score 3 or less, they're 10-40.
It's a better stat.
So you want to get to 4.
Yeah. Your stats sucked, Nardo.
I'm sad. I get no love.
I'm really glad we revisited that.
Yeah. What? Good job doing that. Because that didn't sound right.
Yeah.
You don't want to score 2 runs.
You don't.
Yeah. I'm like,
But that's all they
You
need to
wanna
do
score.
is score 2.
You want to score 4. You want to score 4 runs.
I've watched 95% of this game. I don't feel like they've won that many games by scoring 2 runs.
There's not a lot. Yeah.
Hey, it's a good sales technique.
The
The
art of
difference is
disclosure.
the Pirates have played 23 games this year where they've scored less than 2 runs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's bad. And like Jack said in the comments too, like they need to do it more than 1 inning a game. I feel like that's like been another big issue is they score 1 inning and then they'll put up 8 other zeros, right? So yeah, maybe spread out the love a little bit.
Diamondbacks have only played 17.
We're
All right,
still-
we're done. We're done
we're
with that.
still on
Stat.
this.
Yeah, we're done with it. We've already proven that
Cardinals have
your
only
stat
played
was
16.
wrong. My stat was right. So
Yeah,
we move forward.
Jim's
Yeah.
stats are way better. Yeah, like, hey, if
Yeah.
the Pirates can score 10 or more runs,
It's not
they're
about the
undefeated.
stat being correct or incorrect. It shows that they can win. They have to eliminate the amount of games they have less than 2 runs, which was alluding to, because they have the most in baseball. Well, among the wild card and playoff teams. So they have less of those games, which is what adding a Bryan De La Cruz and an Isiah Kiner-Falefa, they can help that out. They can get there. We see the record, eliminate the 2 or less runs, and we're cooking.
You could have just said that, not
I'm
give a
leaving.
stupid stat.
I'm done with you guys.
All right, the show just got way better.
Oh, thank God. The A team's back, baby.
Big series coming up this weekend. Tyler.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if
And
that's
they're
what we
lined
wanna
up very
transition
well.
to. Yeah, I mean that's if we want to talk about that. Luis Ortiz going Friday night, Mitch Keller going Saturday, Paul Skeens going on Sunday. So you're lining up your horses to face Arizona. And again, Arizona's 2.5 games ahead of you right now in the wild card race. You win 2 out of 3 here. You gain a game on them. If you can somehow find a way to sweep them, all of a sudden you jump the Diamondbacks. That would be good. And like the pitching matchups, they line up so nicely. Yeah, Luis Ortiz going up against Brandon Pfaadt, Louisville guy. Mitch Keller going up against Jordan Montgomery, who's been awful this year. And then Skeens against Ryan Nelson, who's also been bad. So everything's in place for you to sweep the Diamondbacks. And if you can pull that off, all of a sudden you go from the 6th team competing for 3 spots to like the 3rd or 4th team competing for 3 spots. Helps you out a whole lot.
It does. And the big hump I think to get over is Luis Ortiz. And Ortiz has been dynamite really since taking over that kind of spot starter / 5th starter role, because I don't really know how to describe him anymore. As Narder's taking his AirPods out and just deciding he's quitting on us. But if you can get over that spot right there and somehow provide enough runs on Friday. Again, we talked about the Astro series. We're getting that first one was so important because it made that third one where it was a painful game, but you could look back and say, we got 2 out of 3 out of it. You can live with it. So getting that first one is so big. And then when you have a Paul Skeens and you have a Mitch Keller after that, how good could you feel? Like if they were able to win on Friday, I'm going to feel great. Like I might parade around the town that the Pirates go in the playoffs.
This is actually kind of a fun exercise. So because the Pirates, they got De La Cruz in, they've got IKF coming in. Someone on TikTok, Nathaniel, says we should put together what like our lineup card would look like on Friday. So like this will be our first time kind of seeing the new look Pirates with everybody. What do we feel about a lineup? Just kind of like what do we want to see going forward when it comes to a Pirates lineup?
That's a good
one that scores 2 or more runs, because lifetime against the Diamondbacks, the Pirates are 66-48.
Who brought
versus
this
the
guy
Diamondbacks
back?
when they score 2 or more runs. So as long as it's
goodbye,
we need 4 or more runs, Tyler. All right, so let's start off. Who we leading off with?
So I'm going to start it with Kutch because I'm going to stick with where I think he's comfortable. Would you agree with that? Oh, I guess we're gonna do this. Okay, that works.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Kutch is my DH, and he's leading off. He's been comfortable in that spot all year.
Yes, correct.
He
DH.
gets on base. Yeah, Kutch is my DH, and you know what? I'm not messing with this.
No, I'm not either. 1 and 2, like put that in marker.
All right.
This is where I get complicated because we were just on last night.
Yep.
And the guy that I would prefer to hit third, and I had to sleep on it. I think I'm going to play him. I'm going to hit O'Neal Cruz third. If he has a bad game, maybe Saturday's the day that I sit him down.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna stick with that too. I'm gonna stick with Cruz third.
And also, before we continue, are we assuming that IKF is back, or are we gonna? Where are we at?
I'm
with
gonna
that?
assume IKF is back.
Okay.
Yep.
I probably should have known that beforehand, but that's okay. I'm gonna hit Bryan De La Cruz fourth because I need to mix in a righty here.
Right field.
Yep.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% already.
We're on the same page here.
Yep.
I'm hitting Rowdy fifth. First base. Obviously, but
yeah, I like that too.
And then if we're moving down to 7, I'm gonna hit IKF here if he's back and he's playing second base for me.
Keep in mind this is 6th. So
I'm
first,
sorry.
second, third,
Yeah,
fourth.
no,
fifth,
you're right.
6th.
I'm still hitting IKF here.
Let's do this actually, just to make it easier.
Look at those Excel skills.
Hold on.
You almost had it.
There we go. Okay. So you're gonna go. You're gonna go IKF
I'm
right
going
here.
IKF 6. If he's available, he's playing second base for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we gotta stop agreeing here, man.
I know we do. Okay, so we've got for those on the podcast who aren't seeing the visual here. Kutch leading off the DH. Brian Reynolds batting second and left. O'Neal Cruz batting third and short. Bryan De La Cruz, right field, batting cleanup. Rowdy batting fifth at first. Isiah Kiner-Falefa batting sixth at second.
I'm going Joey Bart 7. Starting the catcher. And I'm saying that because it's a Luis Ortiz start. If it was Mitch Keller, I'm probably going Grandal a little later, but
We're gonna
you're going Bart too. Okay.
We're gonna agree on all these.
Okay.
All right.
And then I'll mix. Oh God.
Here's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm going Hayes here too, and I'm going Taylor 9th. Because I love the speed at 9.
So we agree.
Yeah.
We all agree.
That's my lineup.
Literally, we all agree on this.
So DiNardo, this is your lineup.
I was waiting to hop in to disagree. We literally all agree. The righty lefty is the only difference. De La Cruz and Tellez. Like ideally, I'd probably have Tellez next, but mix it up there. That's it. And I want Taylor right there as my number 9 for sure, ahead of Kutch.
Well, that was kind of boring.
Yeah, that's kind of my ideal lineup right now, though, against a righty.
You know what though? I like this lineup. I like this lineup quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think in a perfect world, I would rather want IKF up farther, but I just don't want to mess with Reynolds at second.
Yeah.
Right. That's my thing. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Like I said, I think if this were opening day, I'd probably go Kutch, IKF, Reynolds, Cruz, De La Cruz, Tellez.
That's so many lefties, though. Like I don't like having Cruz and Tellez back to back.
Well, no, I still have De La Cruz in the middle. If
Just put IKF up there too.
If Reynolds has hit nowhere other than second all year. He's only hit second in every single game this season.
Yeah, I'm not messing with him.
So I'm just not touching that. But if this was a fresh slate, I'd probably have something more like probably have something more like this.
My brain's already broken.
I get that. And once again, for the people listening to the pod, Kutch,
Right,
IKF,
right.
Reynolds, Cruz, De La Cruz, Tellez, Bart, Hayes, Taylor. And I guess my thing is, I really don't want IKF second.
I don't either.
It's kind of like Tyler. I mean, he's having an outstanding year so far. I don't know if I really trust it. You're coming over to this lineup. I feel more comfortable with him sitting back there, hitting seventh. Let Cruz be third. Reynolds. First off, I'm not touching Kutch or Reynolds. And this is a good exercise because had it been Jazz, that would have been the same thing with Jazz. If Jazz came over to the Pirates, I don't want him letting lead off either because I'm not touching Kutch.
Yeah.
To me, Jazz would have been hitting 3. Like he's the one that would move Cruz down to 4th in my eyes. But like neither De La Cruz or IKF or Jazz in my opinion. So I like this lineup. It adds length.
Yeah,
and the fact that like IKF doesn't strike out is very helpful also. Like he's going to put the ball in play.
What are you doing against the lefty?
Praying.
So if it's a lefty, then let's do this. So let's do another one for lefties here.
1, 2. Keep it the same.
Yeah, we're on the same page there.
Yeah, like these are the same, right?
If this is Tyler's lineup, Cruz is hitting third still. I do not care. I am hitting O'Neal Cruz third again.
Okay, I'm not. And the reason for that is just the numbers don't back it up. Like O'Neal Cruz is just not that great of a hitter versus lefties. I do want Cruz in the lineup versus lefties, but I would rather in this situation go Joe, De La Cruz. Here's probably where I would go, like Hayes, maybe.
Nope.
IKF, Cruz, Bart, Taylor. That's probably how I go.
I am so much in disagreement with you. Because on no planet am I hitting Bryan Hayes. What do we got him? 5th? No way. He can stay 8. I don't care if it's lefty righty. He's awful. And
do you know why I have Bryan Hayes?
I'll listen.
5th. Bryan Hayes versus left-handed pitchers. 333. 409. 507. Bryan Hayes has a 916 OPS this year versus left-handed pitchers.
How many at bats?
75. 88 plate appearances. All 3 of his home runs are against lefties. He's been crushing them. He's been one of the best hitters versus left-handed pitchers in baseball.
That's fine, but also if you're able to get the lefty out of the game, they're going righty immediately, and then you're stuck with a guy in the 5 spot that cannot hit a righty.
Yeah. I'm not really constructing my lineup, though, I'm constructing my lineup to face the starter, I guess is how
Don't live in your fears, Tyler.
So I go back to when the Cubs had Anthony Rizzo in like 2012, 2013, and he just could not touch a lefty. And then they just kept hitting him towards the top of the order. And eventually you just figure it out. O'Neal Cruz is a guy that I want to put up there, and I want to maybe protect him against lefties and maybe surround him with a Bryan De La Cruz, maybe find a way to, like in a perfect world, maybe I put him in the 2 spot right behind Kutch and then in the middle of De La Cruz and Kutch.
So you would put Cruz second against lefties.
Well, in a perfect world, if Bryan Reynolds doesn't exist.
Well, Bryan Reynolds does exist.
Yeah, he does.
In a perfect world, Bryan Reynolds absolutely exists.
Oh, yeah.
How's that not a perfect world?
Well, in a perfect world for O'Neal Cruz. Maybe. I mean, I don't hate Bryan Reynolds in cleanup. I really don't.
Let's say Arizona's starter is Jordan. I mean, Jordan Montgomery plays Saturday. So what is your Saturday lineup?
I'm gonna get weird. I'm going Kutch,
All right.
Cruz, De La Cruz.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's get weird.
keep going.
Let's get wild. Let's go Reynolds 4th, Connor Joe 5th, because then I can. Once they bring in a lefty, I'm bringing in Rowdy. Don't really matter. Then IKF, Hayes, love it. And then let's go. What spot are we in the order? We're in 7, 8, 9.
Eighth. Yeah,
We're on 8th. Okay.
we're at 8th. You need a catcher and a center fielder.
Yeah, we're going Bart and then Taylor. God, I love that lineup. Let's ride with it.
I don't. Reynolds is too far down.
What are we doing here?
Yeah,
That's
this is
a good
dumb. This is dumb, Tyler.
You guys are dumb.
This is
Why
why
are you
is
moving
Bryan
Reynolds
De La-
down to
why is Bryan De La
Why not?
Cruz hitting before Bryan Reynolds?
Okay,
right?
switch them. I don't care.
Well, this is your line.
This lineup shows you don't care. Fire Sweeney all over Twitter.
No, you guys are stupid.
I don't want any part of that lineup.
I don't want any part of your lineup.
I'm still putting Cruz down. Kutch, Reynolds
No,
aren't moving.
I'm
regardless.
tired of moving Cruz down every time we face a freaking lefty.
There could be
Well,
a middle hander.
He's not.
They could
good
throw
against
underhand.
lefties.
It's Kutch and Reynolds.
Figure it out. Protect him. Let's.
Now, what I'll say is De La Cruz and IKF actually both have very even splits. And over his career, De La Cruz has actually hit righties better than lefties. Although this year he's hitting lefties better slightly. But they're both pretty even. I was shocked to see.
Fine. We can. Let's flip De La Cruz and Reynolds in my lineup. I actually think that's probably the way to go.
So we're talking about this Saturday, my lineup, right? Not just like in general versus lefties.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to put De La Cruz third. So I'm 1-2, same. I'm putting De La Cruz just because Connor Joe has been struggling a lot lately. I firmly believe I'd rather him there third, but on this Saturday, I'm not. Kutch, Reynolds, De La Cruz.
This is already stupid.
Give me O'Neal 4th though.
Okay.
Because he has been hitting lefties better. Like I will give him credit for that. I'm still not trusting him all that well, but I do want some power. Mix it up in there. Now give me Connor Joe. No, my bad. Give me Hayes, then Joe. And then IKF, Bart Taylor.
I think the thing to take away from all of this is I'm not going to. I think that lineup is a lot better than Tyler's lineup. I don't know what Tyler's thinking.
There's like hardly any difference.
But no, Bryan Reynolds needs to be batting second, like plain and simple. This lineup I like, but I think the thing to take with all this is like all of a sudden, especially against righties, right? All of a sudden, Brian Hayes, who's been hitting 5th a lot, right? He's now batting 8th in like our ideal lineup. Versus lefties, like this whole lineup can hit lefties. Like there's no one in this lineup that's like you look at it and they're like, well, that's an auto out. Right?
Yep.
So I know like they didn't add a ton, but they added in the right spots to make it so that this lineup's better than it was. Yeah, I mean, we got some questions too, like what happens to when Nick Gonzalez gets back? Like Gonzalez is probably going to be out at least a month, so it's going to be a while before we have to figure that out. And I think when Gonzalez does come back, then you go to like our original plan for the season, which was IKF kind of becomes your Jared Triolo, who plays third once a week. He plays short once a week. He plays second once a week. Like he's there to give your guys a day off, but at the same time, he's still playing 4 to 5 times a week.
Agreed.
And I just want to add again, like the dude's been struggling. Like, let's be real, he's been struggling.
Gonzalez.
I don't know if his roster spot's safe when he comes back.
I think his roster spot's safe.
I don't.
No, my bad. But I don't know if his starting role is safe. So to assume where's his spot in the lineup, it's not his right now to have.
Why?
Because if IKF comes in, he's playing. I mean, are you going to take him out? The only difference is Bryan Hayes versus righties. Like if he's so awful still, and you want to put IKF at third or something like that, then maybe. But I think a lot's going to be determined when he comes back if he has the spot.
I think it's stupid.
No, I mean that's a good point. Like Nick Gonzalez could be your guy who gives like IKF could just take over the second base job. Like that could very much happen, right? If he comes in and he's doing what he's done in Toronto, I don't know how you can justify not giving him everyday at bats.
Okay, here's my how can you justify playing Bryan Hayes over Nick Gonzalez right now?
I'm not. What I'm saying then is Nick Gonzalez then becomes your Jared Triolo, where you play him at third. You play him in Hayes' spot. Maybe IKF plays third and Nick stays at second. But you still get Nick Gonzalez some at bats. But I think there's a way to get like him, Hayes, and IKF all 4 starts a week.
There is, but like we're just giving Hayes at bats for nothing. He's terrible.
Again, you're kind of missing what I'm talking about. In a month from now, things could be different than today. If Hayes picks it back up within the next month, that's what I'm alluding to.
And you're giving him at bats because he's a Gold Glove third baseman. Like that's still something. As much as people want to like hate on Bryan Hayes, and I went on a Bryan Hayes rant last night, so like I did it too. But he's still providing you really good defense at third base. Really good defense at third base. He can't hit. He's not hitting the ball well, but there's still some value there. I mean, from a WAR standpoint, Nick Gonzalez has been better. So yeah, I'm not gonna say Nick Gonzalez is. Yeah, I'm cool with all of those guys getting some playing time.
In all reality,
Gonzalez is back.
It's gonna work itself out because there's a chance that IKF falls back to earth a little bit, which I think is incoming. Bryan Hayes could get on a hot streak, and Nick Gonzalez, at this point, he's just a league average hitter. So
the whole point of me saying what I said was, I want people to understand he has been struggling pretty bad recently. Nick Gonzalez, he has not been hitting well. So if IKF is performing at a high enough level, and again, if he's playing this bad, then I think everything you talk about is true, Tyler. But if Bryan Hayes comes back and just starts playing a bit better, I don't think Nick Gonzalez is just handed the job when he comes back. I think there's still going to be circumstances in a month from now. So I don't think us avoiding penciling him in right now for a month from now is fine, because he might be the odd man out looking to do, like Jim said, like the trio. Like he's on the bench. But also, that's a good thing. If it comes down to Nick Gonzalez is not getting everyday at bats, that's probably because this is working.
And Nick Gonzalez is a pretty decent bench bat, especially his skill set. Like he's aggressive, right? So like he's kind of that guy you want to bring in late in the game to face a pitcher who who's coming in, throws hard. Like Nick Gonzalez has value as a bench bat on this team. If that's the role he ends up getting, quote unquote relegated to, if IKF continues to play like he has been. Because let's face it, IKF has played better than Nick Gonzalez this season. If IKF keeps doing what he's been doing, he's your starting second baseman. Like plain and simple. He gives you Gold Glove caliber defense, and he's hitting .311.
He is, but I'm sorry, man. We're just ignoring how bad Brian Hayes has been. But I know we're not really ignoring it. But a lot of this is going to be determined within the next few weeks. If Brian Hayes continues to be on the stretch he's been on, this entire lineup could be completely different. Brian Hayes might be on the bench. Like if he plays the way he has right now, and we are 3 weeks from now, I don't know how you can justify playing him.
If Gonzalez comes back and Brian Hayes is still hitting like a pitcher, yeah.
It's one of those times we'll tell.
He'll still get his
Right.
at-bats, but you definitely start splitting playing time more.
Also, and this isn't murderer's row by any means, but you see the lineups here and we're talking, it's a lot easier to hide a bat in this lineup than before this lineup also. Now, we don't need a pitcher. I get that. I hope there's some improvement. But that's all. Again.
Another just kind of anecdote here is that we're all on board with Joey Bart getting the regular catching appearances.
Absolutely.
Joey Bart is the everyday catcher, and he's been the everyday catcher for a while now. Like Joey Bart's starting two games a series.
I still need my boy Jason DeLay up here, though. I still have. Honestly, though, like Grandal should not be on this team. It should be Jason DeLay.
Oh, I'm
they
with you.
both
like
should be. Up here.
If there's one move to make right now, it's send Grandal to
Siberia.
Like just let Yasmani Grandal go.
Enjoy the Olympics. He wanted to run away at the All-Star break last year on vacation. Send him to Paris right now.
It's time for him to go be a family man. Go back, take care of your family. You've made millions of dollars. We don't need you anymore. Okay. But yeah, that's definitely a move I'm making. I don't see that happening though, because they seem kind of dead set on keeping Grandal around as long as they can.
There's also like some part of it where I wonder if he's kind of hanging around because Connor Joe has been so bad. And if Connor Joe continues to be so bad, is that a spot on the weak side of the platoon at first base?
No.
I don't think Joe's losing a roster spot.
I mean, Connor Joe's been so bad. And I'm saying it more as who's going to get more.
Yasmani Grandal.
He has, but he's been better lately. He has. And I'm just saying more on like every
Grandal
now
has
and then
been better lately.
You mix in a Grandal at first base. Because if Connor Joe continues to play the way he has, which has been awful, does Grandal take some of them appearances at first base?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go and say no.
Time will tell.
I know he played there in an emergency, more or less. Do you really want Grandal as your first baseman?
I don't want. I don't really.
And here's like Connor Joe.
What I'm alluding to is I'll take the struggling Connor Joe still. It's the Michael Chavis argument.
Connor Joe's still very good against lefties.
The
problem with Connor Joe lately isn't that he's not hitting lefties. It's that they're playing him a lot versus righties, and he's not good versus righties. So, but if Connor Joe is put in positions to succeed more and more and more, yeah, he's. I'd rather have him in there against a lefty pitcher than Grandal.
100%.
Especially because I don't know if Yasmani Grandal can, like he played one inning there the other night. Like, do you really want him out there in first base too?
That's what
like his legs might like literally fall off.
He catches
that's why I was saying the Michael Chavis argument. Like Michael Chavis was terrible, but he was at least a competent enough first baseman that was the pose out there. Like, I don't want Grandal playing first base at all. Like, give me a struggling Connor Joe every day of the week outside of, I should say, other than Grandal.
I was like, I don't want him every day of the week. I want him against lefties only. But yeah,
I do too. But I will take him every day of the week if my other option is Grandal.
Do we think Nick York sees any playing time? Getting a lot of Nick York comments.
Man, that's interesting. Not even York, but Billy. What's his name?
Billy Cook. I
Like,
think
both
Billy
of
Cook
those
could be a potential.
Definitely see time.
I think Cook could be a potential G1 Bay replacement.
Very much.
I don't know if we see York unless there's another injury, because you got to think if York is getting called up, it probably is because Triolo's hurt. Because you're not gonna, because if Gonzalez comes back, you're probably then pushing Triolo off the roster. If we're being honest, right? Cook would be the guy though who I could see playing his way onto this team and knocking like Bay off.
If I can take us back to, can I just take us back to the Connor Joe argument just for 1 second? In July, Connor Joe hit 212, 293, and 250 off of lefties. He's been bad.
How many at bats?
58 plate appearances
Versus lefties in July? That doesn't. There's no way that's correct.
That's fine.
There's no way. That's 2 plate appearances a day against lefties. That's not possible.
I'm saying. That's what my phone says.
Connor Joe probably doesn't even have. No, there's no way. I don't believe it.
With an all-star break?
Your phone is wrong. Connor Joe only has 114 lefty bats versus lefties all year. He didn't have more than half of them in July.
Well,
did you hit righties?
You might be right. No, maybe you're not right. Continue.
All right.
Okay. I want to make something clear. So I'm going to expand upon it some more. Since June 1st, and I'm using June 1st because it's a large sample. Okay. This isn't just recent weeks, but since June 1st, Nick Gonzalez is batting 235, 259, slugging 330. He has a 61 weighted runs created plus. Nick Gonzalez has been not good for a while now. Like, that's what I'm alluding to. Now, he's come up pretty clutch. He's had some big RBIs. So you can say that for what it is. And maybe that's why he's a good bench bat, maybe, or whatnot, right? But like, he hasn't been good for a while. So let me put this on you guys then too, because you're talking about these guys in York and Cook. If they're tearing it up and you're in a race and Gonzalez comes back and he's still struggling, do you see their opportunity come up there because of that? And before we go there with the June 1st, I did July, and it's bad in July also. But again, I know it's been longer than that. So I'm using June 1st to show the larger sample, not just July here.
I don't think Nick York sees Pittsburgh. Maybe as a September call-up. Maybe. Just as like an additional bench bat.
Well, that's when Gonzalez will be coming back.
But like that's it. It wouldn't be like in replacement of him. It would just be because the roster expanded and you can add 2 people.
Okay.
But I don't, and even then, I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I'm going to say
the rules
no.
Too. It's got to be 1 pitcher, 1 hitter too, right?
I think
if
so.
I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure, but I really don't think we see Nick York this year.
Okay.
Something would have to happen. Like an injury would have to occur.
I would have to tend to agree with Jim there. And I think the main reason is because of the IKF acquisition. If they didn't do that, then I think the likelihood of him coming up would be a lot stronger, but I just can't see it. He's still young, and he does have a lot of growing to do. Not many AAA appearances. I like the acquisition, but maybe not yet.
Cooks, on the other hand, got a lot.
Yeah, he does.
And he's 25.
Yeah. He might be one that if someone goes down, yeah. He's probably next in line.
I mean, they had Billy McKinney on the taxi squad.
True. And I love the dude.
Yeah, we saw your lineup too, so.
Yeah, smart.
You actually have O'Neal Cruz higher up in your lineup against lefties than you do against righties.
I want to protect him.
You're silly.
Yeah. No, I want 2 right-handed bats around him.
You can put him anywhere in the lineup and have 2 right-handed bats around him.
No, I want actual right-handed bats that aren't terrible around him.
So that's why you moved down Reynolds.
No, he hit 4th.
Yeah, you moved them down.
Yeah, he's right there to drive in O'Neal Cruz after he gets on base when Andrew McCutchen walks and then Bryan De La Cruz hits a single that was about eye level high because he swings at everything up in his eyes, and we're good.
I love you, Tyler.
Like,
how's this weekend go?
Dude, if they didn't have Andrew McCutchen on the team, I'd hit him a lead off against the lefty.
How's this weekend going to go? Big. This is the biggest series of the year so far. And we've been saying that a lot lately, but it's going to be the case for a lot of series going forward. But this series is huge.
You got to get 2 out of 3. You have to get 2 out of 3. And when you have Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller, I think you expect to get 2 out of 3.
If you don't get 2 out of 3 here, it's bad. Because if you don't take 2 out of 3 here, then you're 3.5 out. You don't play Arizona anymore. So it doesn't give you like that head to head with them to knock them down a rung or 2. You've got to take 2. You got to take 2 out of 3 here, and you've got to take 2 out of 3 against San Diego at home too. You got to go 4-2 this homestand.
Let's say unless you sweep the Diamondbacks, then you only need to go 1-2 against the Padres.
No, you still have to go. Like you have to win at least 2 games per series. That's what I'm saying. You can't go 2-3 and 1-2 because that doesn't do you any good either. Like you've got to be better than both of these teams.
I get it. In a perfect world, yes, but wins are wins to a degree. Also,
wins are wins. But when you win,
I just say that
teams like this, they lose automatically. They also lose.
I know. I get what you're kind of saying that too because the Padres straight up, but you can also take out other teams. Padres are good, but anyways, Luis Ortiz tomorrow. He's been good. He didn't have the greatest game last time. Still looked fine. It's a pretty even matchup. Like I feel like this could go either way, which kind of stinks for game 1 because like they could drop game 1 of the series and looking pretty dull. But these next 2 games after, I mean, again, first off, just the fact that it's Mitch Keller and Paul Skeens, but they're pretty favorable too because Jordan Montgomery has not been that guy this year. He's been god awful. And you look at, I mean, this was like a 6.80 ERA or something he has. 6.51 ERA. He hasn't been that good this year. Mitch Keller is good. I trust that they can win that game. And then, of course, it's Paul Skeens. But then you look like, okay, what's Paul Skeens? But who's he facing? Not that great of a pitcher either. Pedestrian. Paul Skeens could take that. The back 2 games of the series, you feel real comfortable with, especially with this renewed lineup. So lots on Luis Ortiz. I'm not saying the pressure-wise, but lots on if they can win the first game, there's a real shot that they could also sweep. I'm not saying they're going to, right? But there's a real shot that they can. And it's kind of like the Tylers, you were the one on this a lot, especially early July. Like you got to start really gaining some wins, spinning off 4 or 5 in a row and such. But they did at one point. Now it's like if you can start taking some series and sweeping a few here and there as well, they can sweep the Diamondbacks. That would be huge. A lot's on tomorrow's game. If they win tomorrow, it's kind of favorable. So 2 out of 3 to me feels like very strong opportunity for them to be able to do it.
This is another big reason why this series is important too. Jeremy asks, how do tiebreakers work? There's a very good chance you can end the season tied with Arizona, right? And the tiebreaker is head-to-head.
In Jim's theory.
Yeah, the tiebreaker is head-to-head record. So if you split here, you're 3-3 on the season, and then it goes to intra-division record and it goes to all these things. But straight up, if you can sweep the Diamondbacks, you win the season series so that you've got the tiebreaker. You finish tied with Arizona, you're ahead of them. Done and done. So, yeah. I'm not saying they have to sweep, but holy crap, a sweep would help a lot.
A sleep would help as well.
A sleep would help too. It's 10:30. We've been on here for too long.
For the record, I agree. I do think that you at least got to get 2 out of 3, but a sweep would be magnificent. Hand up, wrong on Connor Joe. Baseball Savant has him in July as a 327 WOBA. So hand up. I think I missed that one.
Yeah, I think he was like 770 OPS and a 110 weighted runs created plus versus lefties in July.
Yep. Fangraphs, I think I read it wrong.
That's all.
Hand up, I was wrong. Just had to get that out of the way before we wrap up.
You know what? That shows real growth, though, Tyler. I'm proud of
I
you.
know.
There it is. All right, we out of here?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Were you going to say something, though?
No, let's get out of here. But if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the page. If you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you. Appreciate everybody watching tonight. Appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thanks for spending your off day with us.
Thank you, and
Bye-bye.
Let's go Bucks.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.